Today I'm going to show you 10 of my favorite everyday carry knives that are going to be perfect for just about anyone. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Now these are ambidextrous knives in all different price ranges because, I just wanted to make sure that there's something for everyone. And as always, the links to buy, the prices, even the coupon codes will all be listed for you down in the description. Now, if we're meeting for the very first time, I'm Jay. Thanks for stopping. Go ahead and subscribe if you're looking for knife reviews to get right to the point. All right, let's jump on in with number 10. It's going to be from Spyderco. That is the Andella. Now, actually, I almost went with the Stretch 2 in this spot, but I kind of changed my mind at the last minute. That was for a few reasons because, well, I like this blade shape a little bit more, specifically right there at the tip, and the handle design, a little bit slimmer, and the weight because it is also lighter. Now, this specific version is going to be all about that blade steel, which is also made by Bowler, and that's the same company responsible for M390. As of this video, you can find these on Amazon for like around $140, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that like K390 is better than M390 because, it all just sort of depends on your needs. I can tell you, though, is that K390 is going to be a harder steel with better edge retention and even better wear resistance, but if you work outside and your knife's going to get wet, you're going to want to go with M390 because of that corrosion resistance. Now, K390 is a non-stainless. You could still use this. You just got to be able to keep like a coat of Tough Glide or something, some other type of oil that prevents rust. So, yeah, that's preventative maintenance. And if you don't have time or you're unwilling to do that, maybe K390 and this knife is not for you. Now, if that one was a little outside of your budget, hey, no worries. I got you covered with number 9. How about a Ganzo Firebird? This is the F753 M1. Now, that M in the model number, that is going to be very, very important because it's the difference between, you getting this size of knife that has a 3.125-inch blade or the larger one that has a 3.5-inch blade. Man, I really wanted to put my all-time favorite Ganzo on this list, the F760 here, but unfortunately there's one thing that's kind of holding it back, and it's going to be that pocket clip because it only has the one position. So hey, just remember, if you want to get the larger version, just be sure to go ahead and order the 753-1. Number 8, how about a cold steel? This is the Voyager. I'm sure by now you're all familiar with, how cold steel does things, and they give you the two different pocket clips if you're a lefty or a righty. But man, I sure wish that this mini version wasn't discontinued because I used to have one and I didn't hold on to it. And it was actually the same size of the mini Recon one with it's got like it had a 3-inch blade. So if any of you ever run into it or someone that has one, hey, please let me know. Oh, I'd be so willing to like buy it or even trade for it. Number 7 is going to be an Effen. It's the EF966. I kind of feel like that at times this knife sort of gets overlooked, and it's kind of unfortunate because it really does have a lot of good going on. It's got the micarta scales, of course, the 2-position pocket clip, not deep carry, but hey, whatever. And, their version of the axis lock. Now, this might sound kind of weird, but I really like the thumb studs on this knife. It doesn't have like that typical, like cylinder shape or cone shape. They kind of look like, really, it looks like a, what is that? Like a .177 caliber pellet, for a BB gun. That's what it reminds me of, but I don't know what you'd call them, but they do a great job of just grabbing onto your thumb so you can flick that blade open. Number 6, guess what? It's another cold steel. Yeah, I got the Recon one. Now, this was actually my very first cold steel knife that I have had for a very long time, which you'll probably be able to tell just by looking at that steel. Yeah, it's the XHP, which unfortunately, they don't make it anymore since they switched to the S35VN. Now, I got a really quick story about this Recon one because at first, keep in mind this was early when I first started in this hobby. I couldn't consistently flick this knife. I couldn't flick it open. And for some reason, I was just obsessed with learning how to do it. So, I did what everybody else does when you need to learn how to do something. You look for a YouTube video, and you know what? Believe it or not, There actually was one. I found a video of this dude that was like flicking open his Recon 1 without even using the thumb stud. And man, did it look cool. Now, keep in mind, this was a brand new knife. And, you know, it didn't even occur to me that this would have it'd probably be a lot easier if the knife was broken in a little bit. So what I did for the next like few hours was like I'd watch the video and then I would go ahead and try to do it. You know, watch the video, try to do it a few more times. And I just did this like over and over again until finally I got to hear like the most beautiful sound in the world. That unmistakable click, you know, you hear from that triad lock once it's opened and locked into place. There was no way after getting it, you know, to flick open the one time I was going to try, you know, there's no way I was going to go for a second because my arm had, like it had literally, I had nothing left. I mean, it was dead tired. The next day I woke up, I could barely move my arm. Like it hurt that bad. Yeah, I know. I'm out of shape. Great. Now, you would have thought that, like, I pitched both games of a doubleheader because, like, doing the most basic tasks was next to impossible. And I will let you paint your own picture there. I mean, you should have seen me trying to eat. It was like that stupid toy, you know, like you get the cup on the stick with the string hanging down, and then there's that ball. You know, you're trying to flip it into the cup. So imagine, like, my arm was the string, and then the food I was trying to eat would have been the ball. And then I would try and just like swing my arm up, hoping to hit myself in the face with that food. Number 5 is going to be a Spyderco. It's the Mannix 2. Now, I have a couple of these, all, you know, like different blade steels, different prices, different handle materials, you know, but the one with the BD1 blade steel, that's going to be your cheapest at about $115. Now, even though, you know, this ball bearing lock, you know, can clearly be used from either side, that spring is usually, for me, you know, it's kind of strong. So I, you know, will operate it. I tend to just operate it, you know, with 2 fingers most of the time. Number 4. Now, normally I don't like doing this because, you know, I like to spread stuff across like all different brands. Another Spyderco. This time it's going to be the lightweight version of the Chaparral. This is probably one of my all-time favorite like secondary carry knives that could easily serve as a primary as well, because, you know, for me with my medium-sized hand, you know, look at that, it's a small knife, I can still get a full 4-finger grip on. Plus, you know, having the XHP blade steel, you know, that sure doesn't hurt either. Now, I went ahead and I just took off the wire clip because I kind of like to just sort of carry this in my back pocket. I mean, it's definitely, look at that. I mean, it's definitely thin enough. So I honestly don't even notice this when I'm sitting down. Next up is going to be a Knife Center exclusive at number 3. It's the Demco AD 20.5. Now look, I've got nothing against AUS 10 steel, but I just sort of had a hard time justifying, I don't know, paying $150 for it. So I went ahead with this exclusive one in D2, which, yeah, it's still a little on the high side for this steel, but, you know, hey, at least it's going to have the slightly better edge retention. Now, just like cold steel knives, you know, they include a second pocket clip for lefties that at first I couldn't find this thing because the pouch that it comes in, it's got like 3 friggin' pockets inside. And I am glad that I checked because I almost went ahead and bought one, but I sure wouldn't mind though if they went ahead and made this maybe a deeper carry clip because, well, yeah, it's kind of sort of a shallow ride. Now, I'm not saying that this next thing is the deal breaker, but I can only fidget with this knife for like maybe a couple minutes because, you know, my finger, it starts to hurt a little from operating this shark lock. But hey, no pain, no gain, right? All right, we are almost there. Number 2 is going to be a Benchmade. It's the Presidio 2. Now that I think about it, you know, just about any Benchmade knife would probably work here, you know, just as long as it has the axis lock and, of course, the 2-position pocket clip. But this is going to be the newest version because the previous one, that one had aluminum scales, which was nice. But man, it just added some, I don't know, it added a little extra weight to it. Now, the Presidio 2, it comes in 2 sizes. You got this big one, and then, of course, there's also the mini. But what I really love about this knife, other than it being ambidextrous, is that this full size I mean, it measures at about 8.5-inch open length, but with those CF Elite scales, this thing still just weighs under 5 ounces. Now, before I go and show you number one, there's a few knives that actually have like separate versions that are made specifically just for lefties. The ones that I have are like this Chris Reeve Sebenza, and from Spyderco, it's going to be the PM2. And I realize that's a really small sample size. I mean, there's plenty of other lefty versions that I don't have, like from Kaiser with the Gemini and the Sheepdog. And let's not forget about from Boker, we got the automatic Kalashnikov. Number one is going to be a knife that you can only get from Knife Works. It's the Hogue Ritter. Now, I swear I didn't plan it this way because this knife also comes in two versions. So you got this the full size here, and then, of course, you can go with the mini. But whichever one you decide to go with, I mean, man, this really, it used to be such a better deal like a few years back, when it was like in the 140s or 50s, for a USA-made knife with 20 CV steel. I mean, that was incredible. And just so you know, I added some new stuff to the merch store. Link is below. And up on the screen is going to be a video that I picked out for you to go ahead and watch next. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. I got to run. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. I'll see you at the next video.